In 2018, one man made so much money in a single day, his net worth increased more than the annual GDP of some countries. Not revenue, not company value, personal wealth. And the strangest part is, almost nobody reacted, because once numbers become large enough, the public stops understanding what they actually mean. That's the first thing you learn when studying billionaires. Extreme wealth does not operate on the same scale as normal life. At a certain point, money stops behaving like money. It becomes leverage, influence, infrastructure, power, and the people at the top understand a set of laws most of the world never even notices. Not motivational advice, not hustle culture, real laws, the kind that quietly determine who stays trapped inside the system and who eventually owns pieces of it. Level 1, billionaires chase money. Average people think billionaires wake up obsessed with cash. Most don't, because after a certain point, money becomes infinite in practice. The real obsession is control. Control over time, markets, distribution, and systems other people depend on. This is why billionaires rarely build small businesses. They build platforms. Amazon wasn't created to sell books. Google wasn't created to organize search results. Facebook wasn't created so college students could post pictures. These companies became infrastructure, and infrastructure is where real power lives. Because once society depends on your system, growth becomes automatic. The billionaire is not chasing dollars. The dollars chase the system they control. Level 2. The rich use debt differently. Most people experience debt as pressure. Car payments, credit cards, loans that slowly drain future income. But billionaires use debt as fuel. This is one of the biggest psychological divides between the rich and everyone else. The average person borrows money to buy liabilities. The wealthy borrow money to acquire assets that generate more money than the debt costs. That changes everything. A billionaire can own billions in assets, pay themselves almost nothing in salary, borrow against their stock, and legally avoid massive taxes for years, which sounds insane until you realize the financial system was designed by people who already understood capital. The rich do not avoid debt, they weaponize it. Level 3. Attention is the most valuable asset on Earth. Oil built the 20th century. Attention built the 21st. Every major company today is fighting for the same finite resource, human focus, because attention can be converted into behavior, and behavior can be monetized infinitely. That is why your phone is engineered to keep you scrolling, why algorithms study your habits more closely than some governments do, and why billion-dollar companies hire psychologists, neuroscientists, and behavioral experts. The goal is not merely to entertain you. The goal is to capture predictable human behavior at scale, because once attention is controlled, everything downstream becomes influence, and influence is one of the few assets capable of creating billionaires almost instantly. Level 4. Billionaires think like empires. Most people think in salaries. The wealthy think in systems. Empires are not built by working harder. They are built through scale. A normal worker can only sell 1 hour once, but software can sell itself millions of times simultaneously. That is why the largest fortunes in modern history came from scalable systems. Technology, finance, media, logistics, infrastructure. One successful decision multiplied globally. The billionaire mindset is fundamentally different from the employee mindset. Employees ask, how do I earn more? Billionaires ask, how do I build something that earns without me? That single difference compounds for decades. Level 5. Privacy increases with wealth. At low levels of wealth, people spend money to appear rich. At high levels of wealth, people spend money to disappear. The average millionaire wants status. The billionaire wants insulation, private security, private transportation, private investments, private networks, because visibility creates vulnerability. The truly powerful rarely live publicly. Most people could not name the families that own massive stakes in global industries, yet those families influence banking, real estate, energy, media, and politics on a scale celebrities never will. And that invisibility is intentional because attention attracts scrutiny. The old rule of wealth was, if you have money, show it. Modern rule is different. If you have real power, hide it. Level 6. Billionaires billionaires buy time. Poor people sacrifice health for money. The wealthy sacrifice money for time. That reversal changes their entire life. At extreme levels of wealth, almost every inconvenience disappears. Drivers, assistants, private aviation, staff managing logistics, schedules, communication, security, not for luxury, for efficiency. Because billionaires understand something most people realize too late. Time is the only asset that cannot be multiplied. Once a billionaire becomes wealthy enough, accumulating more money is almost irrelevant. Protecting time becomes the priority. And the terrifying part is the average person spends most of life trading irreplaceable years for replaceable income. Level 7. Wealth eventually becomes political. At smaller scales, money buys comfort. At larger scales, it buys access. At extreme scales, it begins shaping reality itself. Governments negotiate differently with massive capital holders. Markets move based on billionaire decisions. Media narratives shift around economic incentives, not always through corruption, sometimes simply through gravitational pull. Because when one individual controls enough capital, entire systems begin orbiting around them naturally. And that creates a question modern society still has not answered. How much power should a private citizen be able to accumulate? Because history was designed around governments being the dominant force on Earth. But now, for the first time in history, some individuals possess enough wealth to operate at near-sovereign scale. Private space programs, private communication networks, private AI infrastructure, private influence over global markets. The billionaire is no longer merely participating inside civilization. Increasingly, they are building parallel versions of it. And somewhere between the person struggling to pay rent and the man whose net worth changes by billions before breakfast, wealth stopped being a number. It became a system.